Right after a breakup, your world goes quiet in all the wrong ways. The air feels heavier, the hours stretch longer, and even familiar places seem to echo with what's missing. You replay every word, every glance, as if decoding them could rewrite the ending. Food tastes different, sleep disappears, and your chest carries that dull ache that refuses to fade. You scroll through old photos like they're proof the love was real, even though your heart already knows it's gone. It's not just the person you miss, it's the version of yourself that existed when you were together. And in that silence after the storm, you realize heartbreak isn't just losing someone, it's losing the illusion that they were yours. Flash news, you didn't lose them, God released them. And the moment that truth sinks into your soul, everything changes. I know the ache that follows, the constant replaying of memories, the whispered doubts that maybe you weren't enough. You wonder if you could have loved harder, tried longer, spoken softer. But the truth is, they were never meant to stay. What you called abandonment, heaven called intervention. What felt like rejection was really redirection. God saw what you couldn't see. The masks, the motives, the quiet manipulation hiding behind smiles. He watched how their presence dimmed your spirit and drained your purpose. And when you refused to let go, he stepped in. That's not cruelty. That's mercy disguised as loss. Because sometimes divine love doesn't arrive as comfort. It arrives as removal. It doesn't feel sacred in the moment. It feels like betrayal, silence, and unanswered prayers. But that silence, that's the sound of divine protection. That's the door you kept forcing open, finally closing for good. You begged for restoration, and God chose release, because he knew you wouldn't. And yes, you'll grieve. You'll cry over someone who never shed a tear for you. You'll wonder how the one you held closest could walk away without looking back. But one day, when the fog clears, you'll see it. What left wasn't your blessing, it was your burden. God never takes without purpose. He removes to reveal, breaks to rebuild, and ends to protect. The pain you feel isn't punishment, it's purification. Before he elevates you, he must separate you. So stop calling it loss, start calling it alignment. They didn't leave you, God delivered you. When life tears someone away, it rarely feels divine. It feels cruel, personal, and undeserved. You question his goodness. Why would a loving God take what I loved most? But maybe the pain isn't proof that he's angry. It's proof that he's preparing you. Pain is not the enemy. Sometimes it's the only language heaven can use to reach a distracted soul. Comfort makes us deaf. Pain makes us listen. It strips away illusion, attachment, and ego until all that's left is truth. When God takes someone out of your life, he's not taking from you. He's clearing space for you, space for peace, purpose, and genuine love. At first, though, it feels like death. You'll reach for their name, scroll through old messages, replay every conversation like it's holy scripture. But it didn't break. It expired. Not all bonds are meant to be lifelong. Some exist only to teach. Some people enter as lessons, not lifetimes, to show you what love isn't, so you can someday recognize what love truly is. And when that day comes, you'll thank heaven for every unanswered prayer, every slammed door, every silent goodbye, because each was divine protection in disguise. The wise once said that what's truly yours can't be taken. It can only be replaced with something higher. So if it's gone, release it. If it left, bless it. If it ended, honor it. What you called punishment was actually preservation. That relationship, that friendship, that chapter, it was poisoning your purpose, and God loved you too much to let it continue. He tore it away because you wouldn't. He let you break so you could finally rebuild without what was breaking you. He knew you'd never walk away on your own, so he walked them out for you. That wasn't punishment, it was protection. Because divine love will sometimes come wrapped in heartbreak. God's hand can feel like a wound when it's actually a shield. Don't mistake his silence for absence. It's the sound of surgery, the steady work of removing what can't go where you're headed. It hurts because you've confused comfort with connection and peace with people. You think he's breaking you, but he's really freeing you. Sometimes the only way heaven can heal what's killing you is to cut it out. So don't see your pain as a verdict. See it as refinement. The same fire that burns away what's false reveals what's pure. When it feels like you're being destroyed, you're actually being defined. What's happening isn't death. It's transformation. You didn't do anything wrong. You simply outgrew what wasn't right. That ache in your chest, that's your spirit adjusting to the new altitude. You prayed for peace, and God answered. Not by calming the storm, but by removing what kept stirring it. You asked for clarity, and he showed you who they truly were. You just didn't like the revelation. You see, we often ask God to bless us, but rarely do we ask him to cleanse us. So when he starts removing what contaminates our spirit, we call it betrayal. But how can it be betrayal when it's salvation? They didn't leave because you lacked value. They left because they had already taken everything they came for. Your loyalty, your energy, your compassion, all consumed. They were never builders, they were borrowers. And God saw it. He watched as you dimmed your light to keep them comfortable in your glow, mistaking exhaustion for devotion. What you called loyalty, he called self-sabotage. So he intervened, because mercy often wears the mask of separation. He will end what you're too afraid to release. He will allow betrayal, not to break you, but to awaken you. Every exposure is liberation in disguise. God doesn't reveal people to humiliate you. He reveals them to free you. Their season in your story is over. And if he didn't close that door, you'd still be begging to re-enter your own pain. It's important to understand that every event, pleasant or painful, is for your good if you can see it rightly. Fate isn't punishment, it's correction. Life rearranges itself to match your purpose, even when it hurts. Think about it. You prayed for peace, but peace cannot coexist with poison. You asked for strength, but strength grows only through struggle. You asked for truth, but truth always demands loss. So when they left, heaven wasn't ignoring your prayers. It was answering them in a language your comfort couldn't understand. Sometimes the only way God can reveal who they are is by removing them entirely. Their absence unmasks the illusion their presence maintained. What once felt like devastation becomes revelation. The pain that cuts you today becomes the wisdom that guides you tomorrow. Because you didn't lose a soulmate, you lost a distraction. You didn't lose your destiny, you lost what delayed it. God saw their heart when you only saw their face. He saw manipulation where you saw affection, dependency where you saw devotion. He noticed how small you kept shrinking to fit into their insecurities, and he said, "Enough." He removed them not because you were weak, but because you were chosen. Chosen for growth, for clarity, for a peace that cannot coexist with chaos. You saw love. God saw manipulation. You saw loyalty. God saw convenience. You saw a future. He saw a trap. So he intervened. Because sometimes your human eyes can't see what divine vision already knows. You were blinded by memory, affection, and the comfort of routine. But God saw the danger in disguise. He saw the hidden resentment, the quiet envy, the motives buried beneath kind words. Every "I love you" came with conditions, every promise with fine print. You mistook dependency for devotion, control for connection. So when God stepped in, it wasn't rejection, it was rescue. He doesn't whisper truth to the blind heart. He reveals it through endings. Sometimes he speaks through silence, sometimes through distance. What feels like abandonment is often intervention. What looks like loss is often liberation. You thought your prayers went unanswered, but he was answering them in ways you didn't yet understand. Mercy rarely looks gentle while it's working. God saw your mind clouded by longing, so he did what you couldn't. He severed the tie before it strangled your soul. He knew your love was loyal but misplaced. He knew you were holding on out of fear, not faith. So he tore apart what you were trying to fix, not to hurt you, but to heal you. Divine protection often looks like heartbreak before it feels like peace. But when your vision clears, you'll see the wisdom in the wound. You cried for peace while clinging to chaos, prayed for clarity while protecting confusion, begged for healing while nurturing the very wound that caused it. So he stepped in, and yes, it felt violent, because divine surgery always does. He had to break your heart to rescue your soul. He had to take what you wanted so he could give you what you needed. That's not cruelty, that's craftsmanship. When you couldn't detach, he did it for you. That's divine detachment in its purest form. Heaven saving you from yourself. Don't curse the distance, it's deliverance. Don't question the separation, it's sanctification. Every door that closed was an act of mercy. He saw their deceit, their inconsistency, their lack of alignment, and he whispered, "Enough." Not because you were unworthy, but because you were destined for more. You are chosen, not for comfort, but for clarity. Not for attachment, but for ascension. That's why he took them. What you couldn't release willingly, he removed lovingly. You called it heartbreak. Heaven called it healing. And now you begin to understand that detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's when your faith matures enough to say, if it costs my peace, it can't be from God. The moment you surrender what's hurting you, you make space for what's meant to heal you. Detachment isn't the absence of love, it's the presence of wisdom. It's faith choosing freedom over familiarity. Because sometimes God protects you not with walls, but with distance. Not through warning, but through endings. You thought you were holding on out of love, but that love had started to drain your spirit. God saw how your peace was breaking just to keep the connection alive. He saw how your generosity had turned to exhaustion, how you confused endurance with devotion. Heaven will interrupt what's killing you, even when you still call it comfort. So God frees you from what you keep gripping too tightly. You prayed to keep it. He answered by removing it. Because he knew what you clung to wasn't alignment, it was attachment. And attachment is the opposite of faith. Attachment says, I can't live without them. But faith says, even if they leave, I'll still be whole. God will always choose your freedom over your comfort. That's why he closed the door you kept knocking on. That's why he ended the story you kept rewriting. That's why he separated you from what you swore you needed. Because you are still addicted to chaos. When the noise finally stops, silence can feel like loss. Stillness can feel like emptiness. But give it time. Stillness is not the absence of love. It's the recovery of it. In the quiet, you rediscover yourself. The self that existed before the confusion, before the drain, before the need to prove your worth. Peace doesn't mean nothing hurts. It means nothing controls you anymore. Divine protection often looks like unanswered messages, unopened doors, unspoken closure. The silence following removal isn't rejection, it's recalibration. So stop asking why they left. Start thanking God that they couldn't stay. Detachment isn't indifference, it's purified love. the kind that no longer clings, demands, or fears. It releases because it believes. That's how God guards those He's chosen, not by surrounding them with comfort, but by stripping away what blocks their peace. Every ending you didn't choose was an answer for a prayer you forgot to make. You prayed for peace, and He gave you solitude. You prayed for strength, and He gave you struggle. You prayed for truth, and He revealed deception. Each gift came disguised as loss, because only loss could get your attention. The moment you realize that, you stop fighting the process. You stop resisting the silence. You start to see every detour as direction, every delay as design. Because what feels like subtraction is preparation for multiplication. Pain isn't God's punishment, it's His purification. He saw the poison long before you did. He watched you pour your energy into someone who only came to take. He saw you mistaking dependency for loyalty and suffering for love. So He stepped in. He tore away what you kept calling meant to be, because it was slowly destroying what you were meant to become. You prayed for peace, but He couldn't grant it while you were still gripping the source of your chaos. So He removed it, forcefully, mercifully, permanently. That wasn't rejection. It was redemption. You thought their leaving meant you weren't enough. You thought the silence meant you were forgotten. You thought the emptiness meant you were alone. But in truth, the silence was sacred. It was God clearing the noise so you could hear your own soul again. What you saw as abandonment was actually preparation. What you mistook for emptiness was the foundation of a new beginning. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every closed door carries a divine lesson. God doesn't waste suffering. Pain is His sharpest teacher because comfort rarely transforms. He uses friction to polish the soul. Just as a gem can't shine without pressure, your spirit can't grow without trials. Loss grinds away illusion and ego until only truth remains. The truth about who you are, what you deserve, and what you've been tolerating too long. The person who left was never your punishment. They were your awakening. You were praying for wisdom, so He sent you loss. That's how heaven teaches, through subtraction. When their face fades and the noise stops, you finally meet yourself. This is God clearing the stage so you can finally see the main character again, your own soul. God allows pain with purpose, but never destruction without redemption. That's why this loss didn't kill you, it corrected you. It taught you boundaries, discernment, and the sacred art of saying no to what drains you. You learned that peace is more valuable than approval, and solitude is better than false connection. That's maturity. That's sovereignty of the Spirit. Every time you choose peace over reaction, you reclaim your throne. You begin to see loss not as the opposite of love, but as its teacher. Because through loss, you learn what real connection feels like. Through endings, you learn what endurance really means. And through heartbreak, you learn what wholeness truly is. You thought the pain would destroy you, but it was the very thing that built you. You thought their absence would empty you, but it made space for peace. You thought you'd never smile again, but even now, somewhere inside light is returning. Strength doesn't come from comfort. It's forged through surrender. Every time you let go of what was breaking you, you rose closer to who you were meant to become. That's the paradox of divine transformation. The thing that shattered you also shaped you. Stop asking, why did this happen to me? Start asking, what did this reveal within me? Every loss carries instruction. God never subtracts without the intention to multiply. Pain is the toll we pay for truth, and truth is never cheap. You prayed for clarity, and He granted it, not through ease, but through exposure. Pain was the teacher you couldn't ignore. When you're comfortable, you stay blind. When you're broken, your vision sharpens. You start to see people as they are, not as you wish them to be. The illusions you once worshipped needed to fall. You can't hold on to delusion and still receive wisdom. You can't chase peace while clinging to poison. You had to lose what you wanted so you could see what you needed. You had to feel the absence to recognize the difference between affection and alignment. Love that requires you to shrink isn't love, it's captivity. Devotion that drains isn't sacred, it's bondage. God saw you mistaking emotional pain for divine purpose, so He interrupted the cycle. He watched you pray for signs while ignoring the ones He already sent. He watched you confuse endurance with destiny. And when you wouldn't let go, He allowed heartbreak to finish what your intuition started. That wasn't divine punishment, it was divine discipline, the kind that refines instead of ruins. Fire doesn't destroy gold, it purifies it. The same is true for your soul. Pain refines your heart, clarifies your spirit, and humbles your mind until all that remains is authenticity. You stop pretending, stop chasing, stop performing. You begin to live with quiet strength. The noise that once terrified you becomes holy silence. What you once feared losing, you now thank heaven for removing. And that's the beginning of freedom. Not freedom from loss, but freedom through loss. You prayed for peace, and peace came dressed as solitude. You prayed for love, and love returned in the form of self-respect. You prayed for guidance, and it came as goodbye. You thought you were abandoned, but you were being transformed. The silence you mistook for punishment was sacred preparation. God never left you. He was rebuilding you in private. When He wants to move you forward, He doesn't always send blessings. Sometimes He sends endings. The void you feel isn't emptiness. It's space being cleared for new strength to grow. You weren't buried. You were planted. The soil felt dark because growth always begins underground. When the noise faded, you realized that solitude isn't exile, it's education. That's where your discipline formed. That's where your wisdom grew roots. That's where your faith matured from emotion to endurance. You learned to pray, not for them, but for peace. You used to define yourself through connection. Now, you define yourself through clarity. You can't control who leaves, but you can control what remains within you. And what remains is stronger now. Your patience, your discernment, your unshakable calm. This is the part where rebuilding begins. Not from desperation, but from discipline. You're not rebuilding to become who you were before the loss. You're rebuilding to become who you were designed to be. You construct your life differently now, slowly, with boundaries, with wisdom carved by experience. No more chasing people who confuse chaos for passion. No more offering loyalty to those who mistake your heart for a resource. Peace is your blueprint, and purpose is your compass. You stop seeking validation in their approval and start finding it in your stillness. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop craving closure from those incapable of giving clarity. What once required noise now thrives in quiet. Because when your peace no longer depends on anyone else's presence, that's mastery. That's what spiritual evolution looks like. Strength that doesn't need to shout. And soon, you begin to notice something miraculous. Solitude no longer feels heavy. The emptiness turns into expansion. You start seeing the same world differently, less through wounds, more through wisdom. And you know the rebuilding is complete when peace becomes your default, not your pursuit. And now, standing here, you can finally see what God was doing all along. He wasn't breaking you down. He was building you up in secret, shaping your strength through silence. You no longer chase what left, because peace has become your home. The same door that once slammed in your face now looks like the gateway to your freedom. The same silence that used to torment you now feels sacred. You stop needing apologies, explanations, or validation. Your calm becomes your closure. Your peace becomes your proof. And as those who once underestimated you watch your quiet rise, you don't seek revenge, you radiate grace. Because divine justice doesn't shout, it glows. God's plan was never to leave you empty, but to leave you free. You see that now. What once felt like loss was a divine exchange. He took what was temporary to give you what's eternal. He ended what drained you to prepare you for what sustains you. Every tear watered the soil of your transformation. Every lonely night became a meeting place for revelation. And in that stillness, you learned the lesson no comfort could teach. Peace is not found in people. It's found in purpose. You thought you needed their love to feel whole, but wholeness was already inside you. They didn't complete you. They distracted you. And now that the distraction is gone, your focus returns to what matters. Your calling, your peace, your faith. Always remember that what is meant for you doesn't require chasing. It recognizes your frequency. When your spirit aligns with peace, everything that belongs to you finds its way back without force. That's divine order, the universe rearranged by faith. Now, as you look back, you see it clearly. The person who walked away didn't derail you, they redirected you. The heartbreak that once shattered you was the birthplace of your healing. You didn't lose them, you found yourself. And that's the miracle hidden inside the pain. God didn't remove them to hurt you. He removed them to heal you. And now, finally, your soul understands. The loss wasn't the ending of your story. It was the moment your real story began. This channel focuses on decoding masculinity to help you navigate what it means to be a man today. Together, we are creating a community of men who see reality for what it is, not what they are being sold. Please subscribe, like, and turn on the notifications so that the message can reach more men. Also, you can support our work via the link in the description below.